Hi, this is Danny Hicks live from the California State Home for the Bewildered, and you had better be listening to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Welcome to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Tim O and Harley Show. I am Tim O. Over there's my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben, let's help Danny Hicks Harley.
Let's help Danny Hicks, my friend.
That's right. That's right. We are calling all deep thinkers to action.
Call to arms.
That's right. That's right. All three of you. We had 4 last week. I think one got mad at me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, one dropped out. Maybe.
The way society is today, someone got offended by me somehow. So they're out.
Exactly,
they're out. So
exactly.
I'm only going to assume we got 3. All 3 of you, Mo, Larry, and Curly. We need your help. Danny Hicks needs your help. So listen. We announced a few weeks back that our good friend, our third wheel in mind crime, our pal, our buddy, Danny Hicks, co-host of this show when he can. He's our nice guest co-host, celebrity.
When it's Hicks season.
Yes,
you know?
yes. And so we've got something that we need people to help out with. So Danny's having a fundraiser through his agent, Dominic Mancini, at Full Empire Promotions. So that would be fullempirepromotions.com.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a GoFundMe. And some people don't like the GoFundMe stuff. I understand that. That's okay. All right.
Yeah.
And I'm sympathetic to that. But they're also running like this great autograph thing. So if you want to purchase something from Danny, if you don't have his autograph, or if you're, let's say, an Evil Dead 2 fan, and you're just starting to go to shows and you need autographs, you got to get Danny's now, because no matter where his health goes, and we're hoping for the best here, no matter where his health goes, I don't think he's going to be doing shows, at least for quite a while. So this is your opportunity to get Danny Hicks' autograph on like an Evil Dead 2 thing. And then you can go to a show and get it from Bruce Campbell or get it from Cassie DePive or something like that. But you got Danny's, okay? And it helps him right now. He's doing this for medical costs and to help his family out, who he lives with. So he wants to kind of have something ready to go. Should anything happen to him, or he's out of it for a while. Now, look, we all know cancer is just a dangerous, bad situation. Yes. And you got to focus on it, no matter what.
The chemo takes a lot out of you, too. Right?
Absolutely. And I know that firsthand, and I'm sure you've seen it, too. And so we've had cancer around these parts for the last couple of years. We're getting sick of it.
Yes.
But we've had some good results so far. I know Mr. John Dugan is doing better, which is good. Grandpa from Texas Chainsaw is a friend of the show. And he went through some stuff. My wife, Angie O, big part of this show. She also went through this last year and is doing okay. So now go to Full Empire Promotions. You can go to like their Facebook page too, and there's links and everything. And if you want to donate, cool. If you want to buy something, cool. It all goes to the same spot. 100% of this is all going to go to Danny's medical expenses and his family. So do that. Also, this is something fun, Mr. Ben Harley. My band Fragile Porcelain Mice is going to, at some point, I do not have an exact date yet in the space-time continuum. We just decided this last night. So we are going to do like an online, one of these, for 2020, this is a pretty hip thing to do. And what is Fragile Porcelain Mice anything but hip? I mean, come on.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, look at me for crying out loud, right? Yeah. Music is cutting edge, baby. So we are going to do an online little streaming set of some tunes, some of our songs. And we're going to use it to promote Danny's fundraiser. So you can also tune in to watch that free of charge. All we're going to do is be talking about Danny's fundraiser. You can come and watch it. And here's the thing, too. Not everybody's doing great financially right now. We understand that. So if you cannot contribute or anything, fine. If you could find the page and share it, if you have social media, or just talk to people about it, that would be wonderful. And we really appreciate that. Any little bit helps. It doesn't have to be monetary. Just spreading the word helps. Because then it gets to some rich fat cat MFer who wants to make himself feel good because he's such a slime ball, and he might give a bunch of money, and then you're taking money from the rich and giving it to Mr. Danny Hicks. So what better charity could there be, right?
Right, exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
And we do appreciate it. I know it's in full swing right now. He's had some good reaction to this, and it's very touching. We appreciate this. For sure. And I know Danny appreciates it. I have been on the phone with him a couple times. He's been hurting. I think a lot of this has to do with chemo and stuff. So I haven't been able to speak to him as much as I'd like to, but I have spoken to him, and he's very touched by the outpouring. I promise you that. Yeah. And he told me that. So and
we're really pulling for him. We were really pulling for him. And like I said, whatever we can do, just even help spread the word. And I got a few tricks up my sleeve I'm going to try to do to help too. And
you always do, and you're going to utilize them for something good this time. It's great.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Instead of something smarmy,
or sleazy, I love my sleazy Harley. I love him, So. So there you go. So Danny Hicks, fundraiser, Third Wheel Mindcrime, co-host, bandmate even, the Timon Danny Hicks Brain Invasion featuring Serene Baird. But anyway,
that's actually awesome, you guys. That's really it's an awesome thing you guys are doing, and for a great cause. And I know Danny, the couple times he got to see Fragile play, he raved a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I
he
know
really had a good time.
It'll mean a lot to him too. So it'll mean a lot.
Right. So all right, there you go, Danny's fundraiser. We're gonna knock her out of the park. Out
of the park.
That's right. So let's get to the meat of the show, Mr. Ben Harley. Let's start talking about some stuff that I watched, and then we'll get to our official film for this week. Oh, let's see here. Yes, absolutely. So let's see here. Let's get to from 1947. You know I was going to start somewhere in the 40s or back, right?
Right. Why not?
Watched Lady from Shanghai.
Okay.
Starring Rita Hayworth.
Wow.
And it's an Orson Welles flick. So he's co-starring in it and also directing it. Good movie. That's the movie with the House of Mirrors ending. If you've ever seen like an old black and white thing with Rita Hayworth running around, it's like the whole, like the Carnival Funhouse, like Room of Mirrors type thing. It's that movie. Pretty interesting little twisty suspense mystery too.
Okay.
Got some nice sharp turns for an older mystery, put it that way. Nice. Twists and turns and things. So enjoyed watching that. Let's see here, moving forward. From 2016. 2016, Mr.
Whoa,
Benno.
That's the future.
Yes.
Watched
a movie. Now, have you heard of this movie? It's called Monster Trucks.
It's about a truck that's an actual monster, right?
Well, yeah, there's a monster
that
lives
inside his truck or something.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, it's an... Boy, I tell you what, when you tell somebody that kind of synopsis, they're like, what? And then you watch it, you're like, that's probably the only way this works at all.
Yeah.
Watching it. But so basically what it is I think these people are working in some I don't know if it's fracking or not, but they're working underground oil reserves and stuff.
Yeah.
Or underground something or another. And these blobby kind of monsters come out. So they're kind of a cross between I know it sounds weird, but just a cross between a seal and an octopus. So it'll be kind of tentacly kind of arms and stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
So, but they've. But
it's cute as a devil.
Yeah, it is kind of cute, and they feed off of oil, and so they don't move around very good. So what the guy does is he builds a truck around the creature, and it's actually good. He likes it. The creature likes it. He likes all that stuff and stuff. And so then, of course, the nefarious oil company. Yeah, ran by the nefarious Rob Lowe. Yes,
he is nefarious.
Yes, is after the creature. So we've seen that kind of Disney-esque kind of plot before. Now, I was watching this movie, and I'm like, there's just something about this movie. It's first of all, you'd think that maybe you would have heard about it a little bit more or something. And then as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is kind of off-center. Wait a second. And I was like, I know what it is. I bet this movie was made in the Great White North. Sure enough, I looked at Mr. Ben Harley. It is Canadian.
That a boy.
You are
Good.
almost Canadian,
Hey,
Mr. Ben Harley, but this
I'm
is squarely
mostly-
Canadian. Yes.
Yeah, I'm mostly Canadian.
Yes.
Hey.
A fun little movie, though. It's actually good. I think you'd really like it. I think you would.
Yeah, maybe that's something that Sydney and I could watch
It
together.
is.
You know,
It is.
I'm looking, and I'm having a hard time with. She's at that age. She does not want to sit still for much.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Takes after her daddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But the problem is, it's like with her iPad, sure, she'll, but like, so I'm trying to, you'd sent me the Iron Giant a while ago, and that's one of my favorite animated movies. And I actually bought an Iron Giant for my action figure collection, Tim. Not a toy; it's an action figure.
Right. Exactly.
But somebody's already taken it.
Oh.
Yeah, Sydney's already.
I think you're going to say the legend. That's like,
No,
okay.
no, I'll beat him. I'll beat that guy. Nah.
Yeah.
Sydney's too cute to beat him. So, anyways, yeah, no. So I've been threatening for us to watch it here, but I just trying to get her pinned down to sit down for any length of time, unless she's watching her iPad. So
Well, that's
maybe
really.
I'll send it through the iPad for her.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's really crazy you mentioned that, because as I was watching it, I actually thought this is almost a live remake of the Iron Giant.
Really? Okay.
It was very similar, similar to that story. That's the kind of story it is. It was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. I didn't love it or anything, but I was like, you know what, this is. It's
what it is,
just
right?
a story about what's going on. There's not a whole lot of subtext to it, and things. And,
Yeah.
let's see here. Moving on from 2014.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, well, I went back and watched a movie I'd seen before that I didn't give a very good review to. And I wanted to give it a second chance because it's one of those movies that was popular in the last 10 years that I don't understand, which is all of them, basically.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I went back and watched The Babadook.
Oh, okay.
I liked it less
Yeah.
this time. It's just, it's definitely like taken from the Slender Man type of mythos that's been popping up over the last 15 years or so.
Yeah.
It's got I think it starts from a neat kind of creepy idea. I think the director, whoever created the story, made a pop-up book, which is like a horror pop-up book of The Babadook. And it's kind of a creepy, cool little book. I mean, it's actually scary, so it's like, oh, cool. But it didn't need to be a whole movie. And the movie, if depressing is not the word for it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, so it takes the depression of modern horror films and then kind of like, I don't know, it's dark. Like nobody turns a light on this movie. And I don't think the sun came out once. Now it is British.
Okay.
So the sun comes out about a quarter of the time. So it does normally. But yeah, man, I just don't. First of all, it's about a mom and her kid. And it starts off with a car wreck and a dad dying. That's where it starts.
Yeah, so you're already in bad territory.
Right. Then you find out that the car accident took place on the way to the hospital for the woman to have a child.
Oh, man.
So the child is born and all that, and then it's just
So they're really setting you up for
Oh, yeah. So it's just
depression.
the mom and the kid. And, of course, the mom has depression ad nauseum because of everything that happened on her son's birthday. And then she won't celebrate her son's birthday on his birthday and stuff. Anyway, so he has, like, he's on the spectrum on some level. He's annoying as hell. He screams and does things, and it's the kind of thing where it's like only the parent understands. Right. And I'm not this kid's parent, and he annoyed the crap out of me. Like, I wanted him to go. And it's just a movie, so look.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to give me hate mail. You don't understand people with special needs. I'll get those notes too, right? So
yeah.
No, I do, actually. So anyway, so the kid, I just can't stand the kid. And I can't really stand the mom either. And then it's depressing on top of it. And then the Babadook is just like this shadow creature, like guy in a top hat, basically, with long fingers, and he kind of always stays in the shadows. And he does this like Babadook, like kind of like. So they're doing everything you can think of that's normally really creepy, except you're so pissed off and depressed by the time anything comes around. It's like I don't even give a crap about this stuff, And it's like. It's definitely got a feel to it like a Japanese horror film, like Ju-on,
Sure.
The Grudge, or something like that, where they're trying to like ease you into fear and stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't know, man, just ain't working. Don't like it still? Pfft, nope.
Babadook.
No. We don't like it. None of us like it. No. You don't like it. I don't like it. It's not good. So anyway. All right, moving forward. We got a few more things here, Mr. Ben Harley,
yeah.
before we get to our
Lay it
official
on.
film. From 1964, I went back and watched a movie that we reviewed not too long ago. The last few years, I watched The Earth Dies Screaming.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, Ben Harley, it doesn't even let out a sigh.
Doesn't even, no, it
Actually-
doesn't even whimper.
Actually, it's really it's actually pretty entertaining. It played much better the second time around since we've reviewed it. This is the British movie with robots.
Yeah.
That robots take over, and then
The
they
ones
also,
that I liked. Is it the robots?
yeah,
I
you
liked?
did like him, and that's what I was telling Ian. Just like, I don't know why Ben liked this movie. So anyway, they can also turn people into like white, milky-eyed zombies.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
forgot about
okay.
that. Like it was some things I kind of forgot about. I was like, this is not a bad movie. It's directed by Terrence Fisher, who did the really good Hammer stuff.
Okay.
It's got Thorley Walters in it. It's good. I mean, I really enjoyed it. We actually popped it in last night. It's an hour long.
Really?
So we had
Okay.
it was like 11 o'clock. You know, we were done watching our official film actually, and it was like, I'm not tired yet. Let's just throw something on. So I'm like, well, this is an hour long. We'll probably make it through this, you know. So we watched it, and man, you know, in fairness, I talked through the whole thing like I'm doing right now, and we still enjoyed it, you know. So I promised Angie, I was like, I'll watch it again. It was fun to watch, but good time though.
Yeah, that's fine. Good,
Time.
good.
I liked it. Yeah. So if you find it in your discs, watch it again. You'll like it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, no, Timo, I actually had to. I think I mentioned this to you. Maybe I didn't, but I had to get a new Blu-ray player.
Oh, you got one, huh?
So yes. So I'll have to break out some of my old Blu-rays and some
There you
other
go.
of that stuff to get them to watch. So yeah, maybe I'll have to pop that one in. But yes, very excited about my new Blu-ray player.
Nice.
I wasn't
There you
excited I had to get one.
No.
but-
Do you have a
So-
PS3?
Yes,
That's
actually,
a Blu-ray player too.
Yeah, I watch stuff upstairs.
Gotcha.
But this, I got one for downstairs.
Gotcha, understood.
The shop.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure over time and spray tack, and which I don't use anymore. I have a newfangled
Ooh.
stuff that looks more like Elmer's glue that you spread on.
Oh, you're
No
modern.
overspray. Yeah, no overspray.
Okay.
Nice. So,
Okay, very good.
and it works better.
Good.
So I do believe my last Blu-ray fell victim to the
Environmental
horrors
hazards?
Of, yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
Did the legend try to give it a drink?
He might
like,
have.
"Oh, you can use a drink."
Come on, you have a drinky boo.
You've been working hard.
I want to
look
tell you
thirsty.
a story. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So, but yeah, so so I'll have to report back. But so far, I did watch our official film this
good.
week on it. So
Excellent.
yeah. So
All right. Well, moving on, Mr. Ben Harley. I watched a Blu-ray on my shiny Blu-ray player of the 1974 film Dan Curtis's Dracula.
Dracula.
This is a Jack
okay.
Palance Dracula movie.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Ain't
yeah.
nothing like seeing Jack Palance as Dracula.
No, there's not much like seeing Jack Palance. Period. Right in a film. That guy.
He's a,
Love
Good
him.
evening.
Yeah.
I think he went to the same speech therapist as Donald Trump when you think about
He
it. Don't they
might.
really have a very similar odd
do.
gait and
Yes.
breathing to they're like pro wrestling sniffers. You know, I
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
sniffers. I like the Val Vener.
Yeah.
It's like, God, jeez, man. I don't think I'd want to wrestle a sniffer.
No, I don't think so either.
They spit all over me, man. I get a little upset. I might break my character and start beating on him or something. I don't like it. Anyway, so Jack and Dan Curtis is, of course, the television legend who did like Dark
Yes.
Shadows and things like that. So it's, you know what? This is a good Dracula like adaptation. I'm not a Dracula guy, but this is pretty good. And
No.
part of it, yes, is seeing Jack Palance as Dracula. I got to admit, part of
Yeah,
it's
how
that.
can- yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, like you kind of waver back and forth between like, man, he's surprisingly effective to,
Yeah.
That's still Jack Palance, man.
That's still
That's still, you can't, it's just Jack. He's got the face, man. He's like Henry Silva. You just can't do
Yeah.
anything but be Henry Silva, so. Anyway,
Right.
let's see here. Last up, been saving this one.
Sure.
Saving this one. Last up,
Attaboy.
I watched, and this is the newer transfer that Arrow Video put out of this
Yeah.
film, but it's from 1981.
Uh-oh.
What's
This
in
is what?
the greatest?
Best year in
That's
cinema.
best year in cinema, according to me.
Yeah.
Watched An American Werewolf in London.
Ooh, okay.
Yes, yes.
And now that was now what was that? That's the newest Blu-ray of it?
There was a Blu-ray like that Universal was putting out under their label, and then
Okay.
Arrow got the rights, and Arrow Video they put out a Blu-ray of it, and they did a new transfer for it
Okay.
that John Landis supervised.
Ooh.
It looks a little nicer. I
Does it?
wouldn't if you have the first one. I don't really think the transfer itself is worth blowing the money if you're rolling pennies for gas right now.
Sure.
They do have, there is some extra features on it that are different, and those are nice, but they're really
Okay.
telling the same stories.
Okay.
I mean, the movie isn't still being made, so the stories are still the stories,
Sure. Right.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed watching everything. And it's really cool to see a different transfer of it because I haven't seen a different transfer of it. So, and it only looks slightly different. I mean, the movie was shot in the way it looks, so
Yeah,
so there's not a whole lot from the source material they can do. But this
No.
movie is just, I mean, it just keeps getting better and better and better
Yeah.
over the years. And I'm telling you, Angio is commenting on that transformation. And she was
Yeah.
just like, it just looks better. It's because it's really in frame.
Yes.
And it's in
Yeah.
harsh lighting. And
Yeah.
it's sweaty and it's painful and it's and for all the people, and I know we've had this little debate before, The
Yeah.
Howling versus American Werewolf in London. I
Yeah.
mean, these are all buddies who made both these movies. But
Sure.
I mean, Rick Baker was a consultant on The Howling because he started off working on The Howling, but he had previously promised Landis
that he would
he would do it. So
Okay.
Landis freaked the fuck out. It was like, "You're over on Joe's movie?"
Yeah.
He goes,
Wait a second.
"Yeah." And Landis already knew about the transformation tricks that Rick Baker came up with. And so he goes,
Yeah.
"Did you show them those tricks?" He went, "Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of." Oh man! So the
Yeah.
Howling benefits from Rick Baker, and Bottin was his protege.
Protein. Yeah.
And it benefits from Rick Baker giving away some of the secrets he was going to do on American Werewolf. So that's why the transformations are similar. Now,
Yeah,
I would say
for
the
sure.
Howling, though, is more of the bladder thing. The balloons
Yes.
under rubber, like that was different.
Yeah.
That was not really, American Werewolf didn't really have much of that, if any.
No,
So
No,
there is a difference between them, but the big similarity is the face going forward.
Yes.
The nose
Yeah.
protruding out and stuff. That
Yeah.
was a big moment we never saw in cinema before.
No, and that looks so painful. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it just looks, super painful.
Right.
And there's so many of the ones that I've tried since those two movies. It just doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we'll, you and I will debate this for the longest time ever. I love the American Werewolf in London werewolf, but I'm more of a Howling werewolf guy. But I still think the transformation is probably better in American Werewolf. But I don't know. What was weird for me is that it being and this is what's the funniest part about why I like the Howling, because they transformed during the day and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And
They're very
which
different
is
movies.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in this one, with being in the harsh light, in American Werewolf, I didn't like it. Like it just is too much for me. It's just too much in the light. But then again, it's still, and those two transformations are the best.
Yeah.
It's not the best. Both of them are just, now the one in the Howling, as I've gotten older, it's a little long. It's a little bit long with her just stand there watching.
Yes, I don't like. Yeah, I mean the watching thing is like just get the fuck out of the room. But maybe you would be hypnotized by what you're seeing.
Sure,
it is. It's a little more mechanical and drawn out. Okay, but you got to remember too that Rob Bottin was Rob Bottin. Wasn't. I mean, he was getting better and better and better. And it's a different movie. I mean, and that that transformation like also like hinges on it being in the dark. And it doesn't, I'm not criticizing at all because I think both of them were really well-known transformations. I think the American Werewolf one was the master really doing everything that they started doing in The Howling. Because The Howling was first, you know, and when me and Angie were talking about that when I was watching the movie, I was like, you know, as much as I love American, I can't sit here and tell you that The Howling came out first. And I said, and the Howling transformation was a really big deal too when it came out. It was a big deal. Like, you know, like they would have like little news articles on and stuff, you know, about how cool that the effects were in that movie. And I like the werewolves in the Howling. The thing, there's so many different ones.
Yes.
That some of them I don't like and some of them I do.
Yeah, some are weird. I don't like that one. Dee Wallace one.
The poodle wolf or the Schnauzer wolf.
The Chewbacca werewolf. It just doesn't come across well at all, you know. But I just still like the main one, or what's the name?
Eddie.
Eddie. I love that's my favorite werewolf of all time. It just is. I like the way it moves and things like that. But yeah, you know, both of those movies, and it's so, I shouldn't say funny, but it's crazy that both of them came out around the same time, were influenced by each other, you know, or, you know, the people who were doing it. But then we have shit werewolf movies since, man. There's been some good ones, but very few and far between, man. And I can say that because I'm a werewolf guy. You are too. You know, we like the werewolves, and I just don't understand it, man. I don't get it. Like all those years ago, I was in flipping grade school,
right?
And now I'm about to be 50, and I still like, why is there not good? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
they're far and few between. You know, they really are. And there was a little cycle there of really good ones, you know, and I think it kind of ended with Silver Bullet. And then I think that I still think Bad Moon is great.
Yeah, I do.
I think the werewolf is great in it. I think it's a descendant of The Howling and American Werewolf in London. And it's and Silver Bullet because of the kid and the kid factor in it and stuff, you know. And so, you know, I do like that one.
I just think that the scene in the moors in American Werewolf in London, to me, is one of the scariest scenes in cinema history. It just is. It's just scary. And if you're out like that and you were to hear something growling like that, and you're like, okay, let's not go this way. Wait, no, it's over this way now. Wait, no, it's circling us. And then when it attacks them, it looks like a grizzly bear attacking, but more vicious like this. It's just that part freaks me out, man. It just always has and always will. And that's what a testament to that movie and all those, you know, both of those movies, really, there's parts in it that I just like, maybe it's from the time period that I saw them in as a kid, but still to me, they're so effective. Yeah. Just so effective.
Well, part of it is when we saw it. I mean, that's what's happening. That's what happens at every generation that we like, you know, it's not, they don't make them like they used to. Exactly. They don't. It's a true statement. They don't. I mean, we would say that disparagingly, and a young person would say, thank God. You know, and we don't see those differences as much, I think. I think we see things lacking now, and they don't. They see those movies lacking. But, you know, it was an interesting thing because I think it was maybe the newer documentaries. I don't know. I don't remember. I watched some of the special features on the, you know, the Arrow one. And it was interesting watching because they had Joe Dante talking on there too, even though he was a Howling guy. So Joe was like, I think there was a little bit of animosity when they realized they were both making a werewolf movie. They were both pulling on the arms of Rick Baker. But I think both of them realized that these movies exist on their own. And they really don't overlap too bad. Me and you debate things, but what I'm saying is that what Landis and Joe Dante were both kind of like agreeing with was that our kind of debate is usually the ones you hear about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And usually it's people coming from it like, I like both movies. Well, Landis and Dante are like, yeah, good. You know, it's not
Oh,
like we
yeah.
hate each other. It's like good. I mean, I just want you to
Yeah.
like my movie. You can like other movies, just like my movie too. But I
Yeah.
think if you like werewolves, I just don't know how you can't like both those movies.
Oh, I
Just
know.
don't
Yeah.
know how you can't like both. Now you get to like Silver Bullet, and you got a questionable werewolf.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I kind of understand that, although I still have an issue with such a well put together, kind of a fantastic fantasy story. You know, there's something magical about that movie. It has a youthful magic to it.
And I think that's what I kind of like about it. It's
Mm-hmm.
because with the kids, and then it's from the kids' perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It has that, you know. And I know you're not a Goonies guy and stuff, but
No,
there's like,
not, yeah.
and I don't want to say it. You know, it's far from Goonies. But I'm just saying that. And you and I have talked about. I like those kind of stories that revolve around the kids and stuff like that. Because you know,
Mm-hmm.
like to me, that's like because those are the people that you know. The kids are the ones that believe. You know,
Right.
now, sometimes they believe too much. You know what I mean? But that's what I like, you know, and the kids are just trying to get people to understand there is something out there. But you know what I mean?
Right.
Too, and I just like that from. I don't know. I guess maybe it does have, like you said, that magical feel or that kind of.
Well,
you know.
I always bring up, and I know this really confuses people. Sort of like when I bring up "There Will Be Blood," and then I said it reminds me of The Shining. It's just the mechanical pace and the descent into madness reminds me of The Shining, like that tension.
Yeah.
It isn't The Shining. It's a totally different story.
No,
It's just the pace of it and the way it makes you feel. The way it gets under your skin is very similar. Well, to me, To Kill a Mockingbird, like how it's narrated by Scout.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it was Scout that
I like
narrates
that.
that, right?
Yeah.
So there's like this
Yeah, for
narration going on about, oh, remember the summer back in blah, blah. And they, you know, an old so-and-so was playing on down the path, you know, and stuff. And that's exactly how they set up
Yeah.
Silver Bullet. So it makes you, instead of it being Boo Radley, a boogeyman living next door, it's a
It
werewolf.
was a werewolf. Yeah.
The only thing it's missing is the big trial. If you remember To Kill a Mockingbird as just a fascinating trial with a heavy racial component to it, which is just very fascinating to watch and everything.
Yeah. That's
And,
such a great movie. But
it is a great movie.
I mean,
it's
you're
an
right. Though.
important film and story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I think you're right, and you've said it many times about that, reminding you, or Silver Bullet reminding you of To Kill a Mockingbird, and I think it does. It has that, which I think we could use more horror stories like that.
Yeah.
More, you know what I mean, and stuff. So
It seduced me.
you-
I mean, the way that they introduced that film with those techniques, those tried and true techniques, it seduced me into like just falling completely into the movie.
Sure.
You know?
Well, it's hard for me to debate a lot of those things, and then things that I like, movies, and like also with The Howling and American Werewolf, because I like them both so much. Now, you know, I lean a little more towards The Howling only for the fact that I saw that in the theater, first movie I ever snuck into like that, you know, and it flipped me out. It freaked me out. You know, it did. I was scared and I was like, and it's just a good werewolf movie. Now, both of them are, I don't know that I can take one over the other anymore. I just really can't because I love them so much. But, you know, it's like, it's funny that you can debate these things and you and I can have a healthy debate. Like,
it's maybe getting a little deep in there.
That's okay though, Tim. Like, you know, and the thing is, you watch these movies so many times over the years, and then you start seeing them like in the proper light that they were filmed in, you know, that you actually see all this stuff. And then you start to think about what in the hell?
You can't not have a good time watching American Werewolf in London. It's just, they're just good movies. You know, maybe you don't like the werewolf, maybe you don't like this, but they're good movies.
They're good movies.
I mean,
I do like the werewolf. It's like, but there's,
it's the only werewolf on fours that I really think is a kick-ass werewolf. Like, that's like, the other ones are like, okay, maybe okay.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're just a wolf running around.
Well, I'll tell you, when Jack gets attacked in the moors there, when he's being attacked by the werewolf, that to me is like the most vicious werewolf scene ever filmed.
Yeah.
Because it's buzzsawing to me, and it's going so fast, you can barely tell what's going on. You know what I mean? And that's how it would be, you know, like.
But Griffin
I
Dunn
guess.
in that scene, like getting torn apart, is that's some of the best acting I've ever seen.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because he's laying there. He's probably cold, doesn't feel good, and it's probably Rick Baker tickling him with his puppet.
Yeah.
Because you know, in real life, it was funny. Like, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, come on, man. You know, I mean, because that's why they're shooting it so fast. You know?
Right, yeah.
I mean, you can't, none of these things really hold up like too long when you're hanging on them, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And the
But,
part where
yeah.
he's like begging for his life, like to Jack,
Exactly.
help me,
Yeah.
you know, like, and he's killing me, help me, you know, and Jack runs away. I mean, David Naughton's caught, runs away, you know, and then like he's like, oh God, I got to go back, you know, and then what you'd do, you'd run away, you'd be like, oh my God, something,
Right.
and then you gotta go, oh my God, no,
Right. And then he goes,
back.
Jack. And he runs back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
It's just a great, to me, it's one of the greatest scenes ever in horror. It just is. That whole scene, as soon as they walk off the path, and even as a kid, when I first saw that, I'm like, oh no, they told you, stay on the road. And I knew as soon as they went off the road, I'm like, oh God, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it still, to this day, has that effect on me, and I love it. I just absolutely love it. Seeing a guy getting torn apart by a werewolf, not something I should say I love.
Yeah, I
You know what I mean? But
the
it's
great
a
effects. It was
terrifying.
scary, and you were there to be scared.
Oh,
Yeah.
God! Just the sound of the growl and that's what I and that go too far. But Tim, when we talk about Bigfoot, if I was out somewhere and I heard that type of growl or something like that, all bets are off, man. When you hear something that guttural or something like that, you're like, whatever that is much bigger than I am, and it sounds like it could eat me. Your whole life, everything changes. Your whole perspective on the world changes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because you're no longer, you're the predator. I mean, the prey now.
I mean, and look, let's be honest too. We
scary.
both probably know that a lot of what people hear when that happens to them is probably a bear roaring. You're probably getting too close to their cubs or something like that. But here's my thing: it's not like you stand there and go, "Oh, it's just a bear."
No.
I'd be more afraid if it's a bear than a Sasquatch. I know. I know bears kill people. I don't know Sasquatch will, but I know bear will.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like
it will chew on you and bury you and probably come back for some more. Yeah.
And I'm the dumbass that thinks they're cute, and I won't run fast enough because I got that inside me. You know, it's like, oh God.
Like, oh, I can outrun this thing. No, you can't.
Shoot, I can't. I can't outrun a chair. No, not gonna happen. But I tell you, it was cool to go back and watch American Werewolf and Jaws.
Yeah,
in the same week, you know, and you can't go wrong with them. The Howling we watched not too long ago. Yeah, but we watch that one pretty often too. American Werewolf we'll watch about every year or two. Yeah, and we watch The Howling, you know, every now and then. Angie always forgets The Howling, so that one she like for some reason she forgets it and she likes it. So it's good. It's good though because I can show it to her now. As soon as she starts looking at it, then she remembers everything.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's right. That's what this movie is. You know, but I'm with you too, though. You know, I mean, I saw The Howling first, and I loved it. To this day, I remember watching The Howling, and the scene in a TC Shack was really scary, and the scene where Belinda Blasky or whatever, where she goes snooping around in the doctor's office, and Eddie comes in, you know, and she throws the acid or whatever it is, emulsion on his face or something like that. You know, all that stuff was really scary. Really scary to me. And American Werewolf in London to me, the scary parts were the opening shot in the moors like you're talking about. That was great. I mean, that was terrifying. But the one that always gets forgotten is the one in the subway. And that to me is terrifying. Too. That's a great little scene there too. So
because he's all by himself, you know, kind of, and then there's that, you know, the dream sequences are really bizarro too.
Right,
you know,
right.
They freak me out.
And then there's the interesting little change in mythos where the werewolf victims are basically ghosts stuck here on Earth until the bloodline is severed of the werewolf.
Yeah, and that's actually
very vampire-like.
Yeah,
there's a lot of vampire lore like that, but not a lot of werewolf lore. That's interesting.
No, and it actually adds a lot to the film too.
It does. I don't know if
Jack.
I don't know if I love it or not, but it's certainly an interesting twist, and it doesn't really take away from the werewolf. Anyway, so it was interesting conversations, interesting things to think right. If you like these movies. And stuff,
there it is. Now we're going to talk about the thing here next soon. So.
Yeah.
We'll be on that soon.
Right. But we love them all. They're all great movies.
Yes,
it's interesting to hear why like you side one over the other and me or one over the other. And they're valid. They're all valid. I mean, I listen to I'm great. I agree with you. You know, I agree with you with everything you're saying. So good times. All right, Mr. Ben Harley, let's get to our official film for this week here. Let's see, from 1990.
1990.
We
yeah.
have
Boy,
the
does
film.
it feel like it.
Oh, it sure does. We have the film The Ambulance.
The Ambulance.
Yes.
Now, Tim, I don't know. This one eluded me. Now, did this play in the theater, or was this a direct-to-video?
For me, it was direct to video. I never
Yeah.
saw it playing in a theater or
either.
nothing like that.
I was just curious because it's got a lot of decent actors and
Yes,
stuff in it,
it
too,
does.
you know? And
Right.
But-
Yes, I don't really know for sure. I do know that it went to video, and that's where it made its mark, I'm sure. You know,
yeah.
but it probably played in some theaters when it came out, and like
I
a
don't,
limited
and
run.
but I don't even remember it in the video store here. Like,
Oh, I do. Yeah, that I do remember.
and
yeah,
I would
that-
definitely remembered the cover art, and I just don't, and, you know, and I didn't.
Well,
see
let me
the
get out.
cover
Let me
art.
get out movie guy
Yeah,
here, and
get that
let's
guy
do
out.
that, and then we'll
Yeah.
get into
Okay.
this discussion. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
A comic book artist meets a woman on the New York streets, but after a quick flirtation, she suddenly collapses and is picked up by an old ambulance. He checks all the hospitals in the area, but the woman seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, doesn't know her name, doesn't.
Right, only knows her first name.
Yeah,
So Eric Roberts, all right, is the star of this film.
yeah.
And also
Over the top,
co-starring
Roberts.
an uncredited Barry Beaver, taking a really good turn as Eric Roberts' mullet. That mullet was distracting.
Yeah, it was.
I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
And remember when I told you, like, back in that era, people used to dress like magicians? He's going a little magician. He's got everything kind of baggy off him, looking like he might be one of the
He might have
1,001 Arabian
something
Nights
up,
or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
something up his sleeve. Yeah.
Like a less flashy version of, I don't know, MC Hammer.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So Eric Roberts, he meets a very, very Janine Turner. She is very, very pretty. She's
Yes.
very, very good. I mean, there's if if you don't think she's pretty, then you don't
need your pulse checked. I think.
check your pulse. Yes. So he meets her, and then she has an episode. On the street, starts to pass out and stuff. And
I just thought because he was because of him, I just thought it was because of Eric Roberts was just too much. I thought
Harley's watching this movie, and she starts doing that. Harley's like, well, I've had two women do that to me when I was bothering them, but boy, I didn't understand this in a movie before.
Right.
So she starts like kind of like looking like she's having a seizure in an episode or something.
Yes. Yeah.
And out of nowhere, this old time ambulance comes up and snags her up and takes her real fast. And Eric Roberts is like, I'll go find you. Well, one thing leads to another. And it's a very Hitchcock type of thing where he discovers that this ambulance is picking up people and we don't know where they're going.
Yes.
And also discovers that they're all diabetic.
Yes. And that we do have lurking in the shadows old Victor, I forget, is it Aniston? Or is that Jennifer Aniston's father? Isn't that him?
No, the doctor is Eric Braeden.
Okay.
Eric Braeden is Dr. Forbin from the Forbin Project, Colossus the Forbin Project, where he's asked how many times you require. He's Victor from Young and the Restless.
Yeah,
yes, he is a Young and the Restless mainstay. That's who everybody remembers him from. So when I see Forbin, our Colossus, the Forbin Project, or watch this movie, I do think of
Victor.
Yes,
you gotta hide your grandma, your mom, and your and the granddaughters. Boy, I tell you, man, woo-wee, you got to watch out for Victor.
Right. It's interesting though. Eric Roberts was in 34 episodes of Young and the Restless too.
Oh, really?
So there's a little connection there.
Yeah. So lurking in the background is Victor. So once I know she collapses, he says something like she's collapsed. And then the ambulance shows up and she disappears.
Right. So obviously there's some evil medical stuff going on. And then Eric Roberts is trying to figure out. So Eric Roberts hooks up with Lieutenant Spencer, played by James Earl Jones, in a scene and gum chewing performance.
Oh man, he just likes to chew ass and chew gum.
Boy, does it look like it's a goofy performance, but he looks like he's having a ball. He looks like he was having fun in this movie.
Oh, as I say, that's like, and that's what I really didn't understand. Like, because they said at the beginning like it's either it's a comedy action thriller something or another, and I'm like comedy, huh?
Well, it's directed by Larry Cohen.
So
Larry Cohen,
yeah. And you're right though. James Earl Jones just is smiling and having a good time, even though he's chewing ass most of the time.
Right. Well, it is directed, like I said, by Larry Cohen, and Larry Cohen he did Q.
Yeah,
he did It's Alive movies.
Yeah.
So he makes fun oddball movies, and this is really no exception to that whatsoever. So Eric Roberts is basically being menaced by the evil ambulance and the ambulance drivers.
Yeah.
Too, who are like they're fight masters and kung fu masters too, and everything.
Kick ass guys.
And Eric Roberts himself ends up in a hospital because he's getting spends a lot of the movie sounding like he's a little drunk, and getting beat up a lot.
Yeah, he gets beat up quite a bit.
Yeah, he does. So he ends up in the hospital and ends up in a room with old Red Buttons. Of all people, he's with Red Buttons playing Elias Zachariah or Zachary or something.
Something, yeah.
Now, let me tell you something right now. Red Buttons steals every scene he is in.
Yeah, and it's funny because at first I was like, oh my God, is that Red Buttons? And I'm like, that's Red Buttons, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get to know him, but my grandpa was a big Red Buttons guy. He liked the Red Buttons, yeah. So
yeah. So anyway, so that's fun. So and he plays a reporter of all things. And boy, is he a tough old bird, isn't he? Holy
my
cow.
God, he's cantankerous. Yeah, but
Sure.
I tell you what, he saves Eric Roberts' bacon a few times in the film.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So now here's the one thing that's very interesting. And Ben Harley, when I was just waiting for this to happen to you, because I wasn't even sure if you were going to root for Eric Roberts' character because he is a artist for Marvel Comics.
Yeah, I thought you might say something about that. Yeah,
and he literally is working there, and Stan Lee is his boss, and Stan Lee's playing himself. Stan Lee's playing Stan Lee, being Eric Roberts' boss, and Eric Roberts is an artist. Do they ever say if he's a colorist or just he's just an artist, illustrator?
Yeah, because that picture that he draws of the girl that he's walking around the street saying, "Have you seen this girl?"
Right?
There's no color in it, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe you ought to colored it before you left too, so it might have helped because it didn't look like the girl at all.
No, it didn't at all. No, and then it happens to find somebody goes, "Oh yeah, that's my roommate."
Yeah.
That's my friend. Like what?
What?
Wait, whoa. Yeah, that's like hold on. Like it's very, very odd. Very odd. Yes, but it's Larry Cohen.
Yeah.
Check logic at the door. It's he would have done well in Italy. Probably would have been a huge star in Italy.
He is probably huge over there.
He probably is, you're right. Yeah.
Just go with it, Tim. Go.
God rest his soul. He passed not too long ago, and so we love the Larry. He was I met Larry Dominic Mancini, who is Danny Hicks' agent. That was talking about. He was that was his client, and his wife is Laureen Landon, and Laureen Landon did a little cameo as a neighbor downstairs when Eric Roberts is knocking on doors. He's always he's drugged. He's trying to run out in the street, and that's Laureen Landon. Yeah, so that's his wife. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So and Larry was a very nice guy. Signed my the stuff prop, and I took a very jerky McJerkington picture with him being silly, and he took it real good. So,
did he? Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he took it because me in pictures, I gotta be goofy. Gotta be goofy. Yeah. Anyway, getting back to so he's a Marvel artist. I found that part of the film like. Where'd you come up with that idea?
Yeah, I don't know.
That was really interesting. He must have talked to Stan Lee, and Stan Lee was like, "Oh man, come on in, let's do this or something."
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. It's very interesting though. So that's what we have as a story. So basically, the movie is,
and he's actually working on as an artist as Dr. Death or something, Doctor. Or Dr. Strong. That was it. That was it, Dr. Strong.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but yeah.
Well, so basically, what's with it's some of the loose logic of the film too is Eric Roberts basically risking his life and limb for someone he looked at.
Once.
Look, I don't know. She was pretty good looking.
He talked her to death. That's what happened.
Well, yeah. I was just thinking, I don't know. She was pretty good looking. I might battle ambulance drivers if I was single and lonely. I might battle ambulance drivers to meet her again. But so that's the film. And then he also meets a mildly attractive police officer.
Yeah.
Yes, played by Megan Gallagher, Officer Sandra Malloy.
Yeah.
She was on TV shows like Suits and Millennium and stuff like that. Not sure if I'm into her police procedure. Don't know if that was all.
Yeah, she's a little crazy.
In that club she was in, like waving guns around.
Yeah, runs up to the DJ booth. I need help. I'm a cop. And then they all laugh at her. So she draws out her gun, starts shooting at the ceiling. They got out of there quick, man. They were splitting.
She swings those guns around more than the cops in Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Actually, there's also a deleted Donald Trump cameo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that would have been really interesting had that had happened these days.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I'm going to let you run with this now. There's a little like disjointed. We got Eric Roberts being menaced by an ambulance because he's onto the ambulance. He's onto the ambulance, so they're after him, and he wants to find out what happened to these girls and these other people. Meets up with Red Buttons. Red Buttons kind of joins forces with them, and in fairness, so does James Earl Jones. He doesn't really let on that he's believing Eric Roberts as much as he's just kind of like suspicious, like something's going on here. So he's following him around. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But I did write this down. This down. I'm gonna let you run with this. So as we were watching it, I said, I bet this movie just unnerved Ben.
Yeah, a little.
How they're all running into the jaws of fear when they shouldn't, and that thing's around the corner, and yada yada yada. Right?
Yeah. No, and I don't know. I was trying to figure out where everything was kind of going. And I like old smarmy Victor, man. Victor is smarmy. Braden. Yeah, he's smarmy enough. And I thought he would be better. Like, well, he's Victor, so the guy's doing okay. I shouldn't really say anything. But I always thought he would be a better...
Victor Newman.
Yeah, Victor Newman. Yeah. I always thought he'd be a good actor for the film, But I haven't really ever seen him in too many things. So anyway,
we did review the Forbin Project, Colossus. He is good in that. He is in some stuff. Good. He's in some older stuff, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, actually, a little handsome. He was even more handsome back then,
Yeah, I even accepted his mustache.
Yeah.
Or as I like to call them, face mistakes.
Yeah. Victor would just tell you it's okay, and you'd believe it. You'd believe that his mustache was fine. So
he's got the Peter Cushing method of mustaching himself.
Oh man, big time. Yeah. But I think this needed a little bit more Victor in it. I really do. But that's okay. But I kind of enjoyed the movie. It's just that it's got some. It's like there's some comedy, which some of it was okay, but some of it was like, I don't know if we needed that in this movie.
Right?
I really don't. But, you felt for Eric Roberts in this film. I mean, I felt for his hairdo, and his clothing, and his acting.
Old Barry Beaver,
his acting was way over the top. It was almost Jim Carrey-esque at times.
Yeah, like, really. He's a energetic actor. He gets real fired up about stuff.
Yes. And, but I mean, the premise was okay. I mean, I did enjoy the film. I think it did lack a little bit more horror. But, I still enjoyed, like, there's some funny things in there. Like, because the poor guy, Eric Roberts, he's on to something. And he is, so you're pulling for the guy. But James Earl Jones isn't believing him. And every time something goes kind of his way, something bad happens. Like, he gets beat up by the gang, and which is actually kind of a funny scene. He's in the middle of nowhere, and back then, I think even in New York, it was. I shouldn't say back then. I was there a couple of years after that. It was sketchy, I mean, there's some sketchy spots there in New York, and it's funny because he gets beat up by this gang. He's just using the phone. He's calling to talk about them, and then gets pummeled, and of course. The ambulance comes to pick him up, and you're like, oh, poor Eric. He can't get away fast enough. He can't, he's just. And what's funny is then the gang shows back up to save poor Eric Roberts. You think, right? They're gonna help him, and but like you said, Tim, those two ambulance guys are pretty tough. They take on.
Well, he convinces them that they can get in the ambulance and get drugs and needles and stuff. So they're not really. They don't want to help him. they're just after to beat everybody up and
Yes.
take all their shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Eric Roberts starts coaxing him into getting
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
the ambulance. Yeah.
And it doesn't work out too well for the gang because the two ambulance drivers beat up like 8 guys. Just pummel them, which I enjoyed thoroughly. I was like, that part was kind of funny. I'm like, because I'm thinking, oh, well, no, they might have helping him, and at least he can get away. No, they just pummel the gang members like viciously, and I'm like, this is great,
Eric Roberts starts yelling at him.
Yeah.
Just slinging non-PC the terms for wimpism at him.
Yeah, and then he said, "You fight like stewardesses." These are the same guys that just put the boots to him.
Right. Yeah.
But it's funny. So some of that stuff, it was just kind of, some of it was uneven. I guess that's why I was going to say it was Canadian, maybe, but it was weird.
Not this movie. That was the other one.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's why I think this
it's got
movie
the feel to it, though.
It might have been Canadian.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yes. No, it does definitely has a Canadian feel to it. Yes, man. Absolutely it does.
Yeah, so it's just got some weird little things. But you know what? Overall, I kind of enjoyed it. I just think maybe the ambulance guys could be a little bit more menacing because once Victor gets in the ambulance, all bets are off, man. He's nuts, man. And I think I would have maybe enjoyed seeing him drive it around a little bit more because, man, he just wipes people out. And then he basically runs over Eric Roberts and's choking.
Well, that's it. Now, hold on, man, but back up for 1 second.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing with this movie. Okay, so
yeah.
First of all, one thing is, and see if you feel me on this, because I already talked about how I thought that There Will Be Blood feels like The Shining and stuff like that. This movie feels like Body Parts to me a little bit.
Kind of, yeah. Okay.
Another medical horror kind of movie. And the scene where Eric Roberts kind of gets captured by the ambulance, but he kicks his way out of the back. And the gurney's on wheels and it starts going down the road. And
it's clearly not Eric
style.
Roberts.
Yeah, exactly right. That part kind of reminded me of the part in Body Parts where they're handcuffed to each other, like driving.
Yeah.
Where they got, so there's this moments, and even Angio, I watched Nine Dimensions, she's like, I can see that. I actually know what you mean. I was like, yeah, it's just, there's similar movies that came out in a similar time. There's similar films and stuff. But when Eric Roberts is in the police station and the Megan Gallagher character, the lady cop, when she is in the club, checking out the club, and she sees the ambulance. Okay, so Eric Roberts gets a clue. He can't really figure out what it is. They figure out what the clue is. The clue leads them to this club, this dance club.
Yes,
now, let me tell you something. We know white people can't dance. But back in 90, I want to tell you this. People couldn't dance.
No, people, period.
Yeah. Wow. There was a lot of Mystery Science moments in the dance that was going on. So anyway, when she's there, and when Eric Roberts is trying to convince the cops, from that moment, the movie goes 100% bonkers gonzo.
Yeah.
I mean, because everything is kind of like jiving and stuff. And then all of a sudden, Eric Roberts just goes, look, I'm going to come clean.
Yeah.
And he does the worst mental trick on the cops. The cops are after somebody else.
Yes.
So Eric Roberts goes, okay, they don't believe the ambulance thing. So Eric Roberts goes, okay, I'm going to come clean. And they go, all right, finally, you can come clean. He says, the girl you're looking for was killed by the ambulance. I'm sorry I didn't tell you before. Well, why didn't you tell us before? I'm like, you're buying that?
Yeah, right.
There's no way he's just trying to get you to, really? And as soon as, and then he goes all right. You buying it? Yeah, we're all buying it. And then they all make buddies. And then they all go, let's go. And then all of a sudden, I guess Eric Roberts is automatically, naturally deputized, I suppose. And just go, I'm like, what the fuck? And then that's when the Megan Gallagher starts shooting bullets in the air and she's pointing the gun at the DJ while she's talking. I don't even notice that, but she's like, it's going right up his nostril and she's talking to him. I'm like, what the hell? And then out of nowhere, the ambulance, it's a decoration on the wall, coming out of the wall, starts up and starts mowing down dancing people. And Eric Braeden just happens to be sitting in it.
Yeah.
Now back it up for a second. Just back it all up for a second and go,
Yeah.
Larry. Boy, you just said, fuck it. Didn't you? You did. Honestly, it's like, Larry, I know Larry, he's in heaven right now, but Larry, tell me you just said, fuck it. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because it just is like, what was Eric Braeden doing? Like spying on people dancing, sitting in the,
Yeah,
what was he doing
so.
sitting in there?
Chilling.
It's like,
Just chilling, waiting to mow people down.
Oh, it was so funny. And then the rest of the movie is Eric Braeden and the ambulance are basically a monster.
Oh, big time.
You could be on a sidewalk. And you never hear it coming.
Nope.
It's like the car.
Yes.
It's like the car.
And
It's a
that's
lot
what
like
it turned into there for a minute. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, what's her name? Officer O'Reilly or whatever it was.
Mallory.
Mallory.
Or Malloy. Yeah.
She gets wiped out of nowhere, man. Yeah, you say you didn't even hear it coming. Also, there it is, and blam, man.
Right.
On the sidewalk, even.
Right.
Yeah, and then poor Eric Roberts gets run over too, and then gimps away.
Right.
Now, he definitely, as he's trying to lure the ambulance into a pit there or whatever, or a work
Trying
site.
to trick him. Yeah.
Oh God, that part was it was too zany. I'm like, wait a second now, tone it down, Eric. Tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like that last 15 minutes
He's
of the movie
saying
is
stuff
just
like
absolutely
it doesn't even make
gonzo.
sense. I forget what he said. I tried to rewind and I still couldn't get what he said. He said something, something. Like it was like he was making things up. Like it wasn't even a sentence. It was just like him rambling, but they kept it in there. Like
I definitely think he was fucked up through at least half this movie. Like in real life, I think he was drunk or on pills or something, cocaine or whatever. But he was fucked up. It didn't look like it looked more like something that make you a little sloshy.
Yeah, well, that whole opening scene when he meets the girl and he's walking through the streets of New York trying to hit on her. I really thought she passed out from him being so fucking weird, man. I'm like,
Okay.
well, my God. No, I really
he's an
didn't think
eccentric
so,
guy.
I didn't think she really passed out, but I mean, he was being so weird. I was like, man, this is so off-putting. And I'm thinking, is he the killer then? Because he's weird right now, man. And, I'm like, is he gonna
follow me on this? Okay, so follow me. So I probably liked this movie a little bit more than you did. And Angie liked it too a little bit. So I think because I said when I told her, it reminded me of. I said it's not as good of a movie as Body Parts, but it reminds me of Body Parts. Angie's like, well, this is good too. I think this is a good movie. I was like, yeah, it is. I said, but it's not as good as as Body Parts. But follow me on this. Now, really think about this. And it sounds silly.
No. Do I have to?
It sounds silly, but I think you're going to agree with me.
Sure.
I think this movie would be a huge classic if two characters were switched.
Okay.
Eric Roberts and Red Buttons.
There you go.
If Red Buttons played the main character, even talking to the girl he thought was pretty and everything, maybe for different reasons, just to keep it a little bit. And Eric Roberts was somebody that he met that was goofy.
Yeah.
Because Eric Roberts is goofy. So,
he's goofy.
So think about that for a second. Think about all those weird stunts and the fights. Because Eric Roberts he's a bad fighter too. So think about all that stuff that happened. And they could have, Red Buttons was definitely still spry enough. Because he went through a lot of physical abuse too in this movie. And there
was a couple parts I was like, man, he's too old for doing this, isn't he?
Well, maybe, but not in the movies, baby. So you follow what I'm saying? Like, if Red Buttons, because Red Buttons steals every scene, he's the best thing in the movie. And right below that is James Earl Jones.
Yep.
And it needed more of Eric Braeden being the Jerky McJerkington.
Yeah, that too. Because he was only in it briefly, and I just think I would have appreciated him being the limo driver, ambulance driver more often and mowing people down.
Right. Like the car. If it was more like the car. Yeah.
I definitely would have been mowing people down and then taking them and then using them for experiments or whatever.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too. It's pretty obvious. Like there's really, they don't really try to make it into a big twist what's going on. Harvesting, like organ harvesting and experiments and human experiments and stuff like that. And that's like, oh yay, that's like what we knew what was going on. But there is a pretty funny twist and I don't know if we want to give it away. Like a little funny twist, like after Eric Roberts finds Janine Turner finally, she asks him to call her boyfriend because he's
I think his name was Robbie or something.
It was something.
Yeah.
His reaction was pretty funny too. And the whole thing is like, good, then after that, it's a false ending. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen. That's not really the end to it, but and then like the lady cop is just completely okay with being like second choice,
second fiddle. She's like, it's okay. She's like,
she almost got more excitable after she found out. I was like, we don't like. Things are crazy in the world right now, but the world's never been crazy enough to where a woman like that, you don't automatically assume she doesn't have male companionship or female.
Right.
But exactly. I don't think it was very difficult for her to find like a prom date or anything.
No,
that's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, I even felt bad for Eric Roberts. I'm like, she's out of your league, pal. Come on now.
Right.
She's out of your league.
Couple interesting things here. Jamie Lee Curtis was considered for the Megan Gallagher role for the officer Sandra Malloy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh. And John Travolta and Jim Carrey were both considered for the Josh role.
You said Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
See, I knew it. And I knew there was some kind of Jim Carrey involved in this.
There you go. So he was considered, and so was Travolta. He was
hey, Mr. Ambulance Driver.
You're taking my girlfriend away. I'm Mr. They got the ambulance. Yeah. So that would have been interesting too. I tell you, and I'm standing my ground on this. Standing my ground, Mr. Buttons. Standing my ground. Red Buttons should have started. Can you imagine seeing like so many people would have been like, what? And watched it just because of that. And no offense to Eric Roberts, but you see Eric Roberts like, it's another Eric Roberts more or less made for video movie. Here we go, And some of those were good. This is one of them, but some of those were good. But man, to see Red Buttons, like, hey,
Red Buttons, man, he still got it.
Can you imagine the back and forth between Red Buttons and James Earl Jones?
That would.
I'm just saying. Right. Think about it, Harley. Think about it. Think about it. Stick with me, kid. I got the good ideas. I'm telling you.
Oh, telling you. Yeah. Red Buttons.
He was great in it. So, I'm going to give the movie a mild grape ape up. Actually, I like it. I like it as much kind of as I did when I saw it. Now, when I saw it the first time, I was surprised that it was okay.
Yeah.
So it really like kind of knocked my socks off because I was really expecting not to like it. I would prefer to watch a monster movie or something like that.
Sure,
this thing, I think, is about as good as it could be.
Yeah.
So,
it could have been a little better, but it's got its moments. It really does. Like, it really did. I kind of went into this like a little bit more excited than at first. I was like, this doesn't look too bad, but Eric Roberts was a little bit much. But I will say Stan Lee got his this was the start of him appearing in movies. So we got that in this too. So that was kind of cool, I guess, ish.
Right. Well, I found it interesting I just found it really interesting that he played himself and he was actually Marvel Comics. It wasn't some other comic book like Marvel. Like they actually allowed the Marvel. Now they didn't allow any of the character.
Well, it did have a little bit of Captain America. Spider-Man, but just like on the wall.
Right. They didn't make, I mean is they didn't make Eric Roberts a artist for a real comic.
No.
But they put him in a real comic book. And I'm telling you, maybe I'm wrong, but did that look legit to you? Did that look like it was actually Marvel at the time? I mean,
it could have been.
I think it was. I mean, I think those guys looked like they were working. And if not, hey, kudos to all of them. Kudos to the filmmakers if not. Because to me, I'm convinced that they were actually in Marvel. And Marvel Comics, like when they were shooting that part.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
That's fun.
Again, mild grape ape for me, and then mild grape ape up, for me, and then you.
Yes. A mild grape ape up. Right. It would be a little taller if Victor Newman was running more people down.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Right. So mine's a little more self-assured mild grape ape. Yours is a little more wobbly, but it's there. And it's worth it. It's not a bad film.
Yeah, it's still, it's not a bad film. It's just, there's some awkward moments, but, overall, it was a pretty fun little movie. I think so. A little fun little movie.
Shout Factory put this out on Blu-ray. Sometimes you can catch it like on Amazon Prime. It pops up to stream and things like that. So
sure.
Not a bad flick. Not a bad flick to seek out. what do we say, Mr. Ben Harley? You could do a lot worse.
And we have.
Right,
Oh, boy.
right. And we may do a lot worse next week, but you're going to need to tune in to find out.
That's right.
So until then, Mr. Ben Harley, do not forget, all you deep thinkers out there,
Daniel Hicks. Keep him
Daniel Hicks, Mr. Danny Hicks. Do not forget Full Empire Promotions. Go there and check out his fundraiser. Don't forget that.
Yeah, and help support Danny. He's helped support Timo and I a lot over the years.
Yes.
And he's a good man and a fine actor, but even a finer gentleman.
Right. Everybody that's met him at the conventions,
Yeah.
I think they're paying it forward now because I sat with him. Okay.
Yes.
Like if you're listening to this and you came up and you know who Danny Hicks is and somebody was sitting with him at a table, odds are maybe 30% at least that was me or Angio sitting there with him.
Right. Exactly.
And that's probably an accurate 30%. I didn't go to all the shows with him. A lot of the Midwest shows though, we were there with him. Or he was with us, one of the two. So and what I mean by that is I'm not tooting my horn. What I'm saying is I promise you, I swear on Angio, and you know that means something, that Danny really, really enjoyed talking to all the people and yes, his fans. And he really enthusiastically enjoyed talking to people, and it wasn't like you'd walk away and he'd go, "What a bunch of idiots." No, that was me. So when I have a fundraiser, screw me someday, but not Danny Hicks. He's a genuine article. So anyway, so get on that. Keep your eyes peeled for the Fragile Porcelain Mice streaming little event to promote that. And until next week, Mr. Ben Harley and all you deep thinkers, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Tim Owen Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.